To install Claude Code is straightforward and only takes 1 or 2 minutes. You only need to know this one command. Yes, just this one command. But before you run this command, you need to check your system setup. First, you need to have Node.js installed. Node.js is a JavaScript runtime that lets you run JavaScript outside the browser. It's what powers Claude Code behind the scenes. You can download it for free and install it in a few minutes. Before you download it, check if your system has Node.js installed by opening the terminal and typing node-version. And talking about terminal, if you're on Mac, Linux or Windows, installing Claude Code is the same process but has some subtle differences and requirements depending on operating system. But in general, Claude Code works with these minimum specs. 4 GB RAM, 8 GB is recommended. Any 64-bit processor from the last 5 years, Windows 10 or later, Mac OS 10 or later, or any modern Linux distribution, and at least 500 GB free of disk space. And of course, you need an internet connection. If your machine meets this specification, you are good to go. But if you've not seen me before, my name is Joe. I test and review AI model and AI coding tools, and you can find me here and on Medium. Currently, my goal on YouTube is to get to 10K subscribers, and I think you can help me in that journey. Hit that subscribe button to help us keep going. Let's get back to setting up Claude Code. We will be installing Claude Code both on Linux and on Windows. We are going to install them on both using the npm command in the terminal, and here they are set up side by side. On the left we have the Linux terminal, and that's where we are going to be installing Claude Code. On the right we have the Windows terminal. We can check to confirm that both operating systems are okay. We can run this command to check that we have Linux, and we can now check the version, and you can see we have Ubuntu 24.04. On Windows, we can run this PowerShell command that gives us the details of the operating system. We have Windows 11 Pro and 10.0. Let's now check the RAM for each, since we require a minimum of 4 GB RAM. On Linux, we run this command, and you can see we have about 7.7 GB total, and the variable memory to run Claude Code is about 7.2 GB, which is within the minimum requirements of 4 GB and a recommended requirement of 8 GB. For Windows, we can run this command, which gives us these 2 RAM slots. One is 8 GB, the other is 8 GB, and each with equal speed, and the manufacturer, which is Samsung. We are now set and we have the right kind of requirements for the RAM. The second step is to check if Node.js is installed in both Linux and Windows. For now, I run the command to check if Node is installed on both node-version. I run it on Linux and I run it on Windows terminal. From my results, you can see Node.js is installed on Windows and it's version 20.13, which satisfies our requirement of 18 or higher. But on Linux, Node.js is missing. We see the message command not found, which indicates that Node.js is not installed on the Linux. This is likely the case when you get started installing Claude Code on Linux and on Windows. For Linux, we need to run this command to install Node.js. This is a curl command that downloads and installs Node.js on Linux. Immediately we see it's downloading the Node packages, and within minutes we see Node has been successfully installed on Linux, so we need to verify the installation was successful. So let me clear this screen and verify again using the command node-version. You can now see that Node is installed and the version is 24.12.0, which is slightly higher or newer than the version we have on Windows. But both versions are stable and meet our requirement of version 18 or higher. If you see command not found error or a version below 18, install Node.js afresh. If on Windows is not installed, download the installer from Node.js website. Go to nodejs.org, choose the LTS version, which is the long-term support version. Click on download for Windows, run the installer, then click next, keeping all the default configuration. Restart your terminal and Node will be installed successfully. You can also check out the other video I shared on Claude Code setup, which details the process of installing all the requirements of Claude Code. Now that we meet all the requirements, we are now ready to install Claude Code. Let's move to the next step, which is the installation. To install Claude Code on both Linux and Windows, we are going to use npm install-g, which means global, at Anthropic AI/Claude Code package. This will download the package and install it on both. I'll place this command on both Linux and Windows at the same time and press enter, then wait for the installation to complete. This takes a few seconds, 30 to 60 seconds, and you can see it download the packages and install Claude Code. Within a few seconds, we have successfully installed Claude Code on both Linux and Windows. It's that simple. In your case, if you get a permission error on Mac or Linux, you need to run this command, sudo npm install-g at Anthropic AI/Claude Code. This will prompt you to enter your password. Enter the password to proceed. And once the installation is completed, verify it using Claude Code --version. Let's now verify our installation of Claude Code on both Windows and Linux. I'm going to run the command Claude --version. You see we have Claude version 2.0.72 on both Windows and Linux. You should see a similar number of Claude Code if you followed the steps correctly. If you see command not found, close the terminal and reopen it, then try again. Up to this point, the installation is complete, and the next step is activating Claude Code by authenticating using either a Claude Pro account or the Claude API console. For Linux, I'm going to use the API, while for Windows, I will use my existing Claude Pro subscription account. Let's now move on to authenticating Claude Code after successful installation. Claude Code needs an Anthropic API key for it to work. Open your browser and go to console.anthropic.com or platform.claude.com. If you don't have an account yet, click on Continue with Gmail or create one by filling in your email and clicking to continue. Once you create your account, sign in, and when you sign in, you're going to see this dashboard. This is the dashboard for Anthropic API console. Once you're logged in, on the left sidebar, you'll see the option to create your API keys. Click on that menu item to open the API page. And on the API page, you're going to see the option to create a key. Click on the button to create a key, then give it a name like Claude Code AI Software Engineer, or you can create your own name, whichever is memorable, since you can create several keys for different projects or use cases. Once you enter the name of the key, click on the Create button, and immediately your API key appears. This is a long string of characters that is designed to connect your Claude Code to your API billing. This API key starts with SK-ANT and then different kinds of characters, letters, numbers, and such. It's important to note that you should copy this key immediately since you're not going to see it again. You click on the copy button, or you can manually select it and copy it. This key should be saved somewhere safe, like in a password manager or in a secure note. Do not share this key and do not post it online, and do not make a mistake of committing it to Git. Now you got your key to connect Claude Code to Anthropic API, but before we leave the Anthropic console, let's buy some API credits that we're going to use with Claude Code after our fresh installation. Currently, if you look at this account, it's a new account and my credit balance is 0. Let's now top up about $5 worth of credit, which is good enough for the initial testing. To top up your account, you need to go to Billing menu and click on Buy Credits button. By default, the minimum is $5. Fill in your billing details and then click the button Buy $5 worth of credit. I have successfully bought my $5 credit, and we are now ready to start using Claude Code once we link up with our API key. Let's get back to the Linux Claude Code installation terminal window. Back to Claude Code terminal window, let's now configure it to work with our API key. For a start, we will launch Claude by simply typing Claude, and we can do it both on Linux and on Windows installation terminals. Both launch Claude with a fast welcome screen. That is the basic configurations screen where you should select the default Claude Code theme. For Linux, I'll go with the dark mode, and for Windows, I'll go with the light theme. I use up and down arrow keys to select the option. And at the bottom, we have this greet function, the hello world version for Claude Code. So now let's move to the authentication page. On the authentication page, we have two options. One using Claude Code subscription, which works with the Pro, Team, or Enterprise accounts, and the other using Anthropic account, which uses the API billing. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to authenticate using both methods so that you can learn how it works. For Linux, we will use the API key that we created earlier on the Anthropic console, and for Windows, I'm going to use my Claude Pro account. Let's start with Linux. When I press enter, it presents me with this URL that will automatically log me into my Anthropic console where we created the API key earlier. If it does not open the URL automatically, copy it to your browser. I'm now presented with this screen to authorize Claude Code to use my API credits. With this authorize button, you should go ahead and click on the authorize button to get the code that you're going to paste back to the installation terminal in order to log successfully into your new Claude Code installation. I've copied these back to the Linux Claude Code installation terminal and pressed enter, and I'm now logged in successfully. And now I can see this message that confirms I've been logged in. Then when I press to continue, I see this security note. Claude can make mistakes and you should be careful about the potential of prompt injection. That is a risk warning on how you should use Claude Code with your file system. You press enter to continue and you'll see another notice. Do you trust the files in this folder since Claude can read, write, and execute files in this directory? With the options yes to proceed and no exit. I choose to proceed and I'm now logged in to Claude Code using my API billing. You can see the message that it's using my API billing here. I can now begin prompting and coding using Claude Code Linux installation. And now let's move back to the Windows Claude Code installation terminal so that we can authenticate it using the Claude subscription account. I'm now on the Windows Claude installation terminal and I use up and down arrows to pick the option. I select the Claude subscription account option to authenticate. Immediately when I press enter, it redirects me to this page where I'm already logged in to my Claude Pro account. This presents me with a screen with this notice. Claude would like to connect to your Claude chat account and the access that Claude Code will have, which include access to my Anthropic profile information, contribute to my Claude subscription usage, access to my Claude Code sessions, and privacy settings that apply to coding sessions. I have this button to authorize and another one to decline. I click on the button to authorize, and in a few seconds, it's all linked up with this message. Build something great, we are all set up for Claude Code. Let's return to the Windows installation terminal, and you see here the message, login successful. Press enter to continue. When I press enter, I see the same message as earlier on Linux terminal Claude Code installation. And pressing enter again loads up the Claude Code welcome screen. And you can see it clearly, it's using my Claude Pro account. And now we have successfully installed Claude Code on Windows and Linux. We have both installation running and we can choose which to use for our coding needs. But before you go, check out the next video that is on the screen that takes this to the next level on how to use Claude Code Terminal and go beyond the basics. And if you found this video useful, kindly consider giving it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. As always, one like, one subscribe gives me one more step forward to bringing you great content. Thank you and I appreciate it.